with just under 24 hours ago, Linus Ullmark has been traded to the Ottawa Senators. I'm going to bring down the truth as to why and how this trade went down between the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins, as well as how this whole thing will play out, involving the new assets the Boston Bruins have. And then the big one that everybody's asking is, what is going to happen with Joonas Korpisalo? As well as what this 25th overall pick could be for the Boston Bruins, and how this could be an absolutely significant pick for this team. So I'm going to be touching on all of that here in this video. Before we get into it, though, we know that 75% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button, join this channel as we cover everything that this team has to offer this offseason. The big move is already out of the way, and we have a lot more to come, so you're not going to want to miss it. And that number is going down very, very quickly. I mean, the closer we can get that down to 50%, I can't complain about that. But let's get straight into our first topic here. This is the truth behind the Ullmark trade. Now, there is a pretty obvious truth that we have. There's also some hidden ones that we know as well. We kind of knew that Linus Ullmark was going to get traded this offseason. It was about, I would say, 90 to 95% sure, all of us, that we knew that we would see Linus Ullmark in a different jersey next season. And I'm assuming that comes to the surprise of nobody. And the trade that I'm just going to pull up once again, if you did miss it, if you didn't get to see it before, was Joonas Korpisalo with 25% retained, Mark Kastelic, and the 2024 first-round pick, which is the 25th overall from the Ottawa Senators, and the Ottawa Senators get Linus Ullmark in exchange. So, I'll say this, we were expecting more. But now, I'll give a few reasons in a moment, but this trade is looking a bit better than what I initially thought. But still, I certainly think the Boston Bruins could have gotten more in return. We do also have to take in consideration, though, that the Ottawa Senators were not going to give up a boatload of assets, picks, players, whatnot, if there was no extension in place. And there is none. You know, Linus Ullmark has what could be just one season with the Ottawa Senators, and then could absolutely walk and go where he wants to in free agency next year. So the Ottawa Senators are really taking a big risk here, trying to get him. They're going to, try to extend him, but for a team to be able to get a goal like that on a one-year deal with the rest of his deal, I should say, you can't risk too much, which is really why that we're seeing this whole return from the Ottawa Senators. Not too much, but just enough to make it so it's more lopsided towards the Ottawa Senators. But a lot of people are also wondering, there could have been more deals out there. Why didn't we go and find a different deal on a different team? I'm sure someone would have paid some more for Linus Ullmark, and there is probably the case, but we know that whether or not there was an extension, it would still be the same situation whether it was in Ottawa. Teams won't want to give up too much if there was no extension in place, as well as the no move clause, no trade clause that Linus Ullmark had. There were limited options, and then on top of that, once again, the New Jersey Devils found their goalie, the team that, was also rumored just as close at the Ottawa Senators, the New Jersey Devils. They were looking for that goalie. They were looking for that next generation lead, or in net, I guess we could say. And they got theirs in Jacob Markstrom, so that counted out another one. But we're left now with no goalie hug anymore. Joonas Korpisalo is going to be backing up what is likely to be next season for Jeremy Swayman, the new starting goalie for this team. And there's a few things that I think could really be a big factor into this. And first of all, we have to talk about the buyout. That's one that a lot of people were talking about. Could he be an asset in a trade? Could he be a buyout candidate? Or will he just back up, Swayman for the next 3 years? And the 3 years is a tough go. I'm not going to lie about that. That's a pretty tough one. But as you can see here from Ty Anderson, Scott McLaughlin, here's a little breakdown of what we have here. According to Cap Friendly, buying out Korpisalo would leave the Bruins with a cap hit of $250K this season, $625K next season, $1.375 million in 26 to 27, and $1.75 million in 27 to 28, and then $1 million each year from 28 to 30. So this is a pretty hefty buyout if this were to be the case. And I don't really know if the Boston Bruins would want to do this. I know it's not too much. It is a viable option. They could absolutely work with this. But if they want to have this running until 2032, I don't know about that. The 3 years there, Joonas Korpisalo at $3 million isn't horrible. I'm sure that he could absolutely turn it around, especially with the whole goaltending coaching situation the Bruins have. It's the best and most ideal spot to have a goalie like Joonas Korpisalo right now. We turned around Linus Ullmark. I'm sure we can do it with Korpisalo as well, but there also is the case that you see Ty Anderson there, bearing in the minors, would come with a $1.15 million in relief and a $1.85 million in dead cap. So realistically, either way, you're spending money to get rid of him unless you do retain for the next 3 years and trade him away, which I don't think happens, but we see really why the Bruins did this. It wasn't the most ideal situation, but they get a goalie in return, could use it as an asset. There's many different options that could happen with Joonas Korpisalo, whether he stays or goes and everything like that. It does, and I think it will work out for the Boston Bruins, but still really wasn't, I would say, my most ideal return in this trade. But what I think will be a very ideal part is the 25th overall pick, which is what I'm going to talk about here. This draft pick is actually, I think, the perfect position for the Boston Bruins right now. The Bruins this year didn't have a first, a second, or a third until yesterday when they got the 25th overall from the Ottawa Senators. And this is a pretty, I would say, front-heavy draft. There's a lot of good players very early on, and then some scattered talent around the second, third, fourth round. But there isn't too much in like a very deep 2015 draft, let's say. But there's one player who I think would be the absolute most ideal fit for the Boston Bruins, and that is 6'7" center Dean Letourneau. And this is what Connor Ryan had to say about him. A 6'7" center who will play in Boston College next season, staying in the state. This could be a pretty wide open eye to see him just go down the road to go to the arena for the Bruins if he does get drafted after next season. Gets good marks in his skating, even at his size. Might be viewed as a high-risk project, but if the Bruins are trying to swing for the fences with the number 25 overall pick, he would be a fantastic candidate. And we've seen something similar. Last year, we've seen the Toronto Maple Leafs in the similar area of the pick. I can't remember the exact number. I believe it was around 28, maybe. Go and get Easton Cowan, a player who was projected in the third round. Really a lot of unknown, but this year in the OHL, he played absolutely fantastic. Very good, and making this pick look like an absolute steal. But the Bruins are in the same situation with the picks. The Maple Leafs didn't have a first, second, or third, meaning they didn't want to trade up. They wanted to get their guy, whether he was a big reach, but it seems to be working out, and that's what I'm thinking the Bruins should do with Dean Letourneau. His rankings for this upcoming draft are very sparse, but I have the one highlighted that really matters to me, and that's Bob McKenzie. 32nd by Bob McKenzie, and a lot of hovering around. Elite Prospects 32. Craig Button has him ranked 69, and he's also as low there as 87 by Recruit Scouting. So there are a lot of opportunities where he could maybe go later, but if the Bruins are kind of in that mindset the Maple Leafs were, you want to get your guy, you need to get your guy, he will be the guy at the 25th overall pick. And once again, they could easily trade it on a flip side of a deal or whatnot. We have a lot to talk about why the draft now, where it's only a couple days away when they just get this pick, but this pick has to be in there because they wanted somebody. That's really my only mindset, or if they flip it at the draft, but I think Dean Letourneau is the perfect option right now for what we will and what we can see with this. But let me pull up his stats here for his career. But as you can see, this most recent season in St. Andrews, U18 AAA college, 127 points in 56 games for a 6'7" centerman. Numbers like this don't come very often, let alone for a guy who should not be playing this good. And this really can translate to an NHL game, especially with the size, if he can play this well. I think next season with Boston College will be a very good tell. So let me know what you think about potential of Dean Letourneau as a Boston Bruin. I believe I've mentioned him on the channel before. I think he's a great option, but let me know what you think about him. Excuse me. As well as let me know what you think about the whole situation with Joonas Korpisalo. Gonna be an interesting one as this offseason progresses, but that's all I got here in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button. I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.